Welcome to Around the Kinky Campfire podcast. This is your host, the Cuddle Gigolo, aka El Comidon, aka Mango Boogies, but also known officially as HH Julius, your entertainment creative. I'm here with Miss Rue, our education guru, and our goal in this podcast is to destigmatize the taboo topics of kink, non-monogamy, and BDSM. We like to educate through awareness and with our experiences, and we are not certified professionals as of yet. So our non-judgmental topics, with a dash of facts, are to be taken mostly as entertainment and with, some slice of life anecdotal stories. Your opinions, lifestyles, and or way of thinking may not be in alignment with ours, but your opinion, lifestyle, way of thinking is also okay as well. And the fact that you have an opinion is valid. We're not here to change your minds. We are here just to provide a different point of view. Please join us every second and fourth Thursdays of every month, and our episodes are uploaded to all major platforms: Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, etc., etc. Please look forward to this coming episode, as we will start shortly, and make sure to especially pay attention to our ASR Minute, which will start very soon.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Around the Kinky Campfire, the Pillow Fort Sessions, with your host, the Cuddle Gigolo, aka Taco Knuckles, aka Fresno Bob, aka Colonel McBee, or just Julius, or if you're so formally inclined, HH Julius. But yes, Julius is here, and a happy new year to everybody. This is the first, Around the Kinky Campfire, any episode, let alone the Pillow Fort Sessions of the new year, and we are enjoying ourselves. The new year is upon us, folks. New year means new changes. We trying new things, doing all different kinds of things now with the podcast. So look forward to that through the new year. But for right now, it's just Julius by himself. Hopefully we'll have more guests, more interesting guests, doing a little expansion of the criteria. No, focus. I don't know. Area, topics. There we go. Topics, coverage. Expanding the coverage of this podcast to many different things. But we're still going to have that BDSM, queer and non-monogamous umbrella all over everything. So we're related back to all of that somehow. But for now, I know what you guys are asking. What am I drinking? Right now, I'm drinking a little mezcal. It is a weekend night, and it's getting chilly once again. We are in Florida. That's where, most of us are that are on this podcast or talk on here or whatever. And it's getting chilly. By chill, I mean the 60s. Yes, that's freezing to some of us here. That's fine. Some people like the cold. I do not. So I like my 95 degree, 100 degree weather. This really sucks. But I'm drinking something, and I did run today, so I'm a little bit warmer than usual. But I feel like if you want to break the cold, you just drink more cold stuff instead of drinking hot stuff. Because I feel like if you drink hot stuff, it just makes you colder at some point because you heat up and then whatever. Anyways, I'm drinking a little tequila, mezcal, and some as you know, the energy drink of champions, and the seltzer water, all those different kind of things. But nothing is sponsored as of yet. We're still wanting sponsors. We'll take the sponsors, however, because Julius is a whore for the sponsorships. But we'll get into it real quick, 5 seconds, because literally that's all it's been. ASMR, here we go. Oh man, that's strong. Yeah, I can only do 5 seconds of that. Okay, so y'all heard me rant before the last time. It's been almost a month now, I think, since the last time y'all heard me talk. This is the first Thursday of the year, right after, the second. So yeah, right after the new year. This is the second day of the new year. Hold on, let me double check that. Of course, this is recorded beforehand, but yes, by the time you hear this, it will be the 2nd of January, starting off the year correctly. Hopefully it'll be good for the whole entire year and keep the pattern going. But Pillow Fort sessions, I like to rant. So right now I'm just going to do more ranting like I did at the end of the year and doing some random topics, but stuff I've covered before by myself throughout this year, especially doing more and more solo podcasts. Probably just gonna mix those in like I've been doing, but more consistently. Oh, the tequila is already affecting me. Okay, so you heard me talk many times about assumptions versus expectations. So we will get into it here and talk about actual precisities of what's going on. Assumptions, I hate them. I do so much. Let's just stop with assumptions already. My goodness. Okay, so gonna keep doing it because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't know if y'all know this, but I, Julius, listen to a lot of podcasts. This is part of the reason why I wanted to start this particular podcast and a couple other ones. And it's driving me crazy because people are still making assumptions. And you know what? That's fine. That's all good for me. I am going to drive myself crazy with it. That's totally fine. That's what I do. You don't have to react the way I do. But now I'm going to rant because still working on communication. If you guys don't know why I'm doing this podcast is I got tired of yelling at my TV, computer screen, phone, whatever have you. And also working on just the basic speaking skills. Got to stop with the ums and the so's. And I want to teach all this different stuff. And yeah, that's what we want to do. And working on that so far. And we're gonna build in 2025. Every year we're gonna work on something. I'm not cool just sitting in my comfortability. And I'm tired of just yelling at. Well, that's kind of the void, but I'm gonna do stuff with my knowledge. And what I'm doing now with this particular episode is working on that. So I'm going to talk about stuff. I'm going to start talking about stuff that I hear come up on news articles, regular articles, podcasts, TV shows, whatever have you. And that's usually what I'm going to base these Pillow Fort sessions in 2025 on. Speaking of 2025 and projects, yeah, we'll get to that at some point. Goodness, yeah, it's great. Goodness, yeah, that whole thing is just driving me crazy. But we'll get into the details because I don't know all the specific details. So I'm going to start working on that, getting all the information out there, and we'll see what happens. Maybe that's part of the switch, but I've never been, you know what, speaking of which, let me go ahead and just break this down for y'all in the new year here. I am not particularly I have to include BDSM and non-monogamy in everything I talk about. Y'all know from the Pillow Fort sessions, I see y'all listening. Somebody's listening because there's downloads happening. So I know somebody's listening to this. I don't need kink, BDSM, non-monogamy in all parts of my life, especially with the education part. I just like it is because that's who I am. So having it included just makes more sense. Also, that's something I have a lot of experience and knowledge in because I do research and I have opinions and I live it. So I feel like there's not a lot of us, especially in the mainstream, I should say. They're probably on the down low, just haven't heard of them. If you know some recommendations or people that would like to do this kind of thing, then let me know because you can always email the website. Because, yeah, this is very interesting where stuff pops up. And we're kind of not really segregated. We're just all over the place with our connections and stuff. The Taboo podcast community is just kind of all over everywhere. And it's hard to find other people locally, I guess, that are into the same thing. But, yeah, that kind of thing. I will take recommendation. Tequila. So I feel like there's not a lot of representation for the BDSM and the non-monogamous worlds out there. And a lot of people like to make jokes of it, not just saying just, oh, stand-up comedians specifically. There's a lot of relationship people that do that as well. And I'm just kind of fed up, or I got fed up with it because there's nationally renowned, relationship coaches and doctors and whatever. And it's like, y'all still don't know about this? It's kind of very judgy of me, and I will say that I am a recovering judgmental person. But it's like, if you are an expert, quote unquote expert of said field, it's like, would you not want to learn about all the different things? And I feel like there's a lot of like, okay, this is me being super subjective and very judgy, my personal view. It's like, why would you not want to learn all there is? If you're talking about relationships, learn about all the relationships, dynamics, quote unquote, more common ones versus uncommon ones, the taboo. Learn all these different things. I understand we're all human. We can't learn everything, but still, it's like, you've heard of it. So why are you still just making guesses about it? Goodness. Yeah, so this is why I started this whole thing in the first place. And I like talking about this stuff, and it fascinates me to do research on this stuff. I am very much a researcher, so I enjoy just researching on these topics. Everything I've talked about with y'all campsters, I enjoy researching, even though it had me go back to my days of having to take notes from school, which I haven't done in a couple of decades because I'm old as shit. But I had to learn how to do that again. Taking notes, I mean, specifically. And it's like, ooh, I forgot how to do this. This is a skill I haven't used in a long time. It literally felt like I was rubbing cobwebs off those part of my note-taking skill brain to do that kind of stuff, which was different compared to during all the podcast stuff because I had never learned the podcast stuff before, which was very interesting to me, be like going from learning a new skill to picking up an old one again. But I have a lot of notes, people. Even the little conversations I have, it seems so like segmented and scattered all over the place. There was notes for that. That's part of how my brain works. I had to put it all on paper and on a doc and talk about it. And it was like, oh, okay, I can do this still. I still remember how to take notes and study because that's literally what it was. I had to study a little bit. Kind of crazy on all these topics that I had never talked about before, but I knew about. Lived experience, but not academic experience. And then once again, quote unquote, teaching it to other people. But I'm going to start doing that more. Hopefully y'all see some videos of me actually teaching at some point. Well, teaching professionally and then putting it on video. I always forget to record stuff all the time. There's a whole new skill set that has to be done. There's the podcasting thing here. I feel like I've gotten better at it for the last couple of years. I don't know. Y'all tell me with your ratings and stuff like that. But actually recording like live events is a whole nother thing. Audio and sound, which is the same thing that I just said. Audio and video and lighting and all that different kind of stuff is like, okay. And then some people are very helpful and some people don't know what they're doing either. And it's shocking. But I'm not taught this stuff by somebody else. I have to go do my own research and then try it and see if it works. A lot of experimentation. Luckily, I've taken classes for failing gloriously and trying again and being applauded for trying and failing and all this stuff. So that is what I've been doing in the background. So if those episodes are sporadic, that's why. It's a learning process. And sometimes you have to get the energy up just to do that. Oh, man. All right. I had to get that off my chest. That felt good. Starting off the new year, kind of, sort of, I will be, opening up the curtain there behind the wizard. I'm recording this at the end of 2024. So I'm assuming now that everybody's starting off the year right, especially if you're listening to this. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And please continue to support the channel. We love y'all. And God, no, can't say that. Ooh, almost said the wrong thing. Spirits bless you. I don't know. Whatever you believe in. I not very religious, but spiritual. But it's, neither here nor there. As far as I'm concerned, we're all going to end up somewhere at some point. Whatever you believe in. Not a religious podcast. Okay. Back to assumptions and how they are versus expectations. So, Julius likes his definitions. So let's get all on the same starting point. I don't really care if it's accurate or you believe it or not, but it is the clinical definition of stuff. So I'm just going to start there and you can take it how you will. Assumptions are defined as a thing that is accepted as true or as certain to happen without proof. There's no proof. Stop these assumptions. It literally says in the definition, without proof. So highly inaccurate. It doesn't even have to be like, I guess accuracy probably has truth and facts in there in the definition. I'm not going to look that up. There's no point in that. The point is, you're basing it off of something you have no evidence on. You just kind of just doing it, and then you assume that somebody else feels the same way. You already get the right information. I'm getting tired of these stupid assumptions. Go get the proof that you need. It's without proof that drives me crazy when people do that. You just, I'm just going to assume this is true and whatever, and with no facts whatsoever based on my own experience. But I'm not going to confirm with other people and get a little bit of touch of reality. I realize everybody has their own viewpoint on certain things, and it's great and everything. That's why I really don't care about being factually right about stuff, because most of this is how I got information. I mean, you are free to go get information however you see fit. Don't listen to me. Go do your own research. And then you can conceptualize, get the definition, whatever you want to call it, for yourself. You are free to do that. You are a grown adult. Only 18 plus should be listening to this. So grown adults, you can take the facts of all you want, and it's crazy. I can't say that. Nope, take that back. It's odd that people see the same thing, sentence, evidence, whatever it is, and get two different responses like, birds aren't real? If y'all know what I'm talking about, birds ain't real. Sure. What? How? What? Ice walls? That type of thing? Okay. If you believe in aliens, good for you. If you believe in ghosts and spirits, good for you. I want to believe in that stuff, but until I actually see an alien or see a ghost or an ice wall, I'm not going to believe it. But there are people that believe these things. No judgments here on that. You can believe whatever you want as far as that's concerned. I mean, I don't understand. So all I care about is doing the research for myself, and then hopefully we can all start on the same page. Doesn't mean we're going to end on the same page, but at least we'll start on the same page. That is why I like giving definitions. If you heard that definition I just gave you about assumptions and you don't agree, so be it. I mean, I'm not going to talk to you, but I'll talk at you through a podcast. But if we meet in person or we have a conversation, or if you, and this is out into the ether, the people that don't listen to the podcast, and I, for example, see them in person, I'm not going to really conversate with them. That's just, I mean, we can't agree on what a clinical definition, you looked it up on your phone and we don't agree with that, I don't know what else we can say. So yeah, listen to me, don't listen to me. But either way, I beg of you, do your own research. Goodness, I just confused myself with that. I spoke what I said because of a memory I had. I'm like, I still can't, even though I'm saying it, and I've known about it for years, there are people out there that are like this, and I still don't understand it. Even in my old age, I don't get it, but they're out there. Okay. Second part of assumptions versus expectations are expectations, which are defined as a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. Okay. That was a weird definition. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't say anything about proof in that one, but either one of these without proof, even though it doesn't say it in expectations, go get your proof, people. Assumptions, I should say, and expectations, not versus expectation. That's what I put in my notes, but it's still all bad. You got to get your proof, people. Strong belief is not facts. Feelings are not facts. So I don't understand why we're doing this based off assumptions and expectations with no proof whatsoever. I love that there's without proof in assumptions. And then you put that in expectations too. There's no facts. You've got this whatever idea that you came up in your head and you just haven't done it. And it's like, especially for me, it's hard to see when people do this with partners or like single people do this, make these generalizations. And it's like, where are you getting this information from? Everybody that I know, or everybody they say this, everybody I know and everybody in my generation or whatever, my friends, it's like, okay, we're just going to make random assumptions. All right, we're all falling up. I can just make random assumptions too. It doesn't make any sense, but I'm just going to say it and think it's true with no facts whatsoever. We've done no research. And it's like, most of the time when somebody makes a generalization like that, or they say like, oh, it's just me. And it's like, no, people have researched this. People have written books and articles and pamphlets and made episodes of something on TV or on the internet about this. It's not just you. People have done research on this. Go look it up. It takes literally 5 minutes for you to find something. It's driving me crazy. And y'all know how I feel about certain things because I had an episode about demisexuality and asexuality. I didn't even know those were terms 10 years ago. But I did my research and I figured out, oh, that's what I am. I kind of thought it was me too. So even my past self was being hypocritical to my current self now because I used to make assumptions like that in the past. But then I did research and I'm like, you know what? I've done this hypocritical thing multiple times. Maybe I should stop doing it. And then finally, I stopped doing it. For the most part. Still recovering hypocritical person. I will forever be hypocritical. Let's just say, I will forever be recovering from hypocrisies, ignorance, judgmentalism, and awkwardness. So I talk about all these different relationship skills and doing research because I too am in that same place, was in that same place, all those different words. So I beg you, campsters, go out there and do your research. Stop making assumptions. I will keep harping about this until it becomes like no longer a norm. And I'm even basing this off of my own subjective experience and the stuff I intake, articles and shows, because people are still doing this. I understand there's like an entertainment value based off this. I guarantee you people, the people you see on any kind of whatever, including myself, you're listening to me. This is not how I truly act in regular life. I don't talk this much. I'm a huge introvert. So talking this much was definitely a skill I had to learn. I don't know if y'all were there in the beginning. I mean, the episodes are out there. You can go back and listen to them. But I suck at talking. Or I did suck at talking. I'm a recovering introvert. I'm always going to say recovering because that means I'm working on it. There's a very famous awkward person named Vanessa Von Edwards, and I believe everything she says. She claims that she's a recovering awkward person, and I believe it too. Not everything. Most of the things she talks about, I agree with, and it's like, oh, me too. So I'll say that too. I'm recovering. That means I'm working on it. Okay? With that being said, I'm going to say a very famous quote by some person. Unfounded assumptions lead to misunderstandings, conflict, poor decision-making, and communication breakdowns. That last part is very important. Unfounded assumptions, which is kind of crazy because assumptions, as we said, has without proof in there. So they're already unfounded in the first place. We don't need to add it. Assumptions lead to misunderstandings. So no proof. Go get your proof. I don't get why we're doing this, especially with your partners. Please, people, go get those factual things. Make sure you guys are on the same page, especially with your partners. Let's not do this because everybody gets all bitter about assumptions. And you're basing a reality off of no proof whatsoever. And then you're just getting mad at somebody. They probably didn't even notice what you were mad about. Everybody has their own view on, I don't know, finances, cleanliness, hygiene, whatever you want to call it. And if you don't say what you're looking for or what you expect, okay. But yeah, whatever you want, if you're not saying what you want, then how the person, nobody can, psychics aren't real. I'm sorry for the people that believe in like Miss Cleo and all those tarot. Yeah, psychics aren't real, people. I mean, believe what you want, don't believe me, but psychics aren't real. Nobody can read your mind. That's just not how it is. So speak. You have to speak. Goodness. Ugh. Speaking of dating communication mess ups, it's like, why is there so like divisive? I don't know, kind of like a rivalry with partners. Why is that a normal stereotypical thing? And I'm super overgeneralizing here. If you do that, good for you. Applause. Good job. But it's kind of crazy to me that that's still like the ongoing norm stereotype type deal. You have animosity to your partner. Why are we doing this to our partners? We're supposed to be loving partners. I mean, that varies. That's a generic word. But if you're with somebody and you want to spend time with them, it's like, why are you fighting with them? Why are you stressing them out, antagonizing them, whatever you want to say? It's like, why are we doing this to somebody we're supposed to enjoy being around? I don't get it. Doesn't make sense to me. Why are we doing this? I don't understand why this is an ongoing thing. There's no more ball and chain anymore. That's some 50s shit. We need to come up into we're halfway to 2030. Sure. Math, if that works out correctly. Is it the beginning of the year or the end of the year when you say you're halfway in the fives? Tequila, not sponsored. So I don't get it. I don't get why we're still doing this now. Let's stop that. Okay? No more assumptions, expectations, and relationships. Let's talk this out. I feel like I've over talked about this subject, and I'm going to have to do it again. I feel like I have to do it every episode. You're going to hear like a 10-minute rant from me about assumptions because people are still making them. Let's stop doing this. Talk to people. Nobody knows what they're supposed to do, quote unquote. It's a stupid term. I hate it. Get it out of here. Okay. One big thing I learned in 2024, because this is 2025, is that I speak a different language than a lot of people. I will just say, not to toot my own horn in a narcissistic way, but I'm just going to say it factually. I'm very observant. And the way I speak is not in line with what I observe in my head. The thoughts in my head do not come out of my mouth, unfortunately. Also, being an introvert, that's a big old thing there, which is kind of interesting to have realized. It's just like, oh, yeah, I don't speak the same way that a lot of people do, and I skip words. There's a Julius language out there. Some of my friends know what it is. It's like, he means something else. And I'm like, I don't know what I mean because I thought it, and I don't know if it came out correctly. That's just how it is. Yeah, so we as a people need to get in line, especially with our partners, with the same line of communication. So I would suggest documenting stuff. Not so much in a gotcha type sense, like, oh, I screenshotted this. This is what you said. Gotcha. No, let's not do that with our partners. I prefer to do it in a way as people get triggered, activated, whatever you want to call it, and they get, anxious, and realities are different between different people. As you know, the saying is there's two sides of the story, and then there's the truth. So anytime you have a miscommunication thing, why don't you just go ahead and write it down? That's my suggestion. Not really founded on too much except for my own experiences, but people, if you have a problem with remembering past events, and then you're with somebody that has a problem with remembering past events, it's probably like, maybe you should document that. I know a lot of people like to take pictures. Let's do this. And it's really simple. Just write it down. I like Google Docs because you can share it with people and be like, hey, we agreed on this at this time, so do you still agree with this? It's helpful for getting consent and everything like that. You don't have to put any specifics down, like, sex positions that were done or whatever, and play that was done. You don't have to do any of that if you don't want to, but it's, let's realize that we might be speaking in a different language. If you're the people that I'm talking to that have a miscommunication error a lot of the times, and it feels like it's just, oh, they're forgetful, they don't remember anything, it's probably, check to see if they were triggered. Co-regulation, I believe I've talked about that as well on this podcast. Co-regulation is a thing, and we should probably be doing that with our partners. That's a recovery technique that a lot of the smart people say, not me. The doctors and trained certified people say that co-regulation is good for all kinds of stuff, especially with your partners. I would suggest you could do it with family and friends as well to stop triggering your partners. And maybe that's why their memory sucks. I mean, I'm just saying that kind of like passively, but that could be a reason. Somebody was activated and that's why they can't remember certain events. Speaking from a personal experience and also the research I've done from so many podcasts and stuff is, if people are forgetting big chunks in major events, were they triggered is my question. If they're your partner, maybe you should help them with that and co-regulate. That could be a big old thing there. I'm just letting you know. And then, the speaking different, I feel like I need to have another episode on that. That speaking different language thing specifically, because I didn't really go into specifics about it because I don't know. I don't even know what to search for as far as that's concerned, because it's like something I just realized for myself. Sometimes when I speak to people, depending on where they're at mentally, that sounds bad. Anxiety, ADHD or whatever, activated is what I like to call it. If people are not like actively paying attention to you, they're probably not listening. So when you talk to them later and be like, did you hear what I said? And they say, yeah, sure. And they get it wrong. It's like, Were you making sure that they were paying attention in the first place? Were they actively listening? Question is no. And this is for my fellow awkward people, the introverts out there that have trouble talking to people. It's like, maybe just take a minute and realize that you might not be speaking in a language that somebody else understands. And I know a lot of people like to assume like, oh, they get it. Here you go again with the assumptions. They just kind of assume that people just get it. Oh, they understood what I said. And it's like, maybe that's not true. Yeah. Speaking of communication, I don't even know if I'm coming across correctly, but we'll see about that. Definitely let me know if you have any questions. You can email our email address, which is in the description of this podcast. And let me know if you have any more questions. I can definitely talk about what I'm talking about. I can talk about the different languages I'm referring to. Maybe I'll have to do a kind of like a deeper dive in that, see if I can find anything about that whatsoever. Because, yeah, that is a very interesting topic. Number one thing I took away from 2024 was I speak differently. So I have to change the way I speak so people understand what I'm saying. If I want them to, kind of, sort of. Sure, we'll go with that, I think. All right, that's a good button to end this episode on. Thank you for joining us for so long, especially you campsters that have been around for the years, especially the sporadic uploads of the episodes. Gonna really try to buckle down on that. I don't know if I enjoy just talking into the void by myself. I do enjoy our guests, so hopefully, Miss Rue will come back, or Shannon will come back, and we might have some more other surprise guests. Not so much super deep into the BDSM and non-monogamy, so I'll be teaching them. A lot of you are probably already, experienced in BDSM if you're here in this podcast, or non-monogamy, but I have friends that are interested in that kind of stuff, so I can teach them while I'm here. Might as well make an episode out of it, because we talk about it anyway, and it's like, ooh, that'd be a good podcast episode. But they have other skills, or they're just generally curious about these kind of things. I prefer to talk to people that ask questions, good questions. There are bad questions. Unfortunately, I had to tell you this. But I like talking to people that are generally curious about all kinds of relationships in general, but especially if they want to learn more BDSM stuff, or just, not going to be super sexual, but it's just funny because the topic of docking came up recently, and there's people that didn't know what it was, and I was like, that's pretty funny. Space docking people were talking about touching dick tips. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, that's not a common word. Interesting. Okay. I can answer that question. Hilarious. Okay. But yeah, so just look out for that. If you hear people and they're like, why, this person's not kinky? Well, guess what? I'm going to teach them to be kinky, teach them about kinky and non-monogamy and BDSM specifically. Okay? But they'll have something to say. They're not just going to be out here just like stumbling around. Okay? So thank you for that, campsters. Thank you for enjoying all of this and downloading and listening to all of me rant or whatever. This has been your host, Taco Knuckle, Fresno Bob, Colonel McBee, or formerly H.H. Julius. This is Around the Kinky Campfire podcast, a.k.a. the Pillow Fort Sessions. Yeah, a.k.a. also known as, I guess, or just the Pillow Fort Sessions if you hear me talking to myself. These episodes come out most of the time on Thursdays. So be sure to rate these episodes, and thank you for the people downloading once again. Have a happy 2025, people. May it be ever evolving and eventful, and hopefully you find something that you're excited about like I found in 2024 and continue to blow up into 2025 and beyond. But for now, this is it for this episode. Hello.